Now, our next presenter has a rather inspiring tale of a man and a piece of tropical fruit. Please welcome MIchael Kordahi with Little Mikey Part 1.
Hello. All right, so that was me. That was me 12 months ago. You fucking better well should. That was me 40 kilos ago, in fact. If you want to know what 40 kilos looks like, grab a big full suitcase of luggage, grab 2 of them, and try go playing tennis with that shit. That's not going to happen. So, this story starts on the 27th of October this year. I'm sitting at work and I'm eating a muffin. A very common practice, correct? So I'm eating this muffin at work, and what happens when you eat a muffin? You get fat. Fat made me fat, by the way, for the record. So, the muffin crumbs fall on your lap. Muffin crumbs fall on my lap, and I'm sitting there going, muffin crumbs on my lap? What do you do when muffin crumbs on your lap do? You flick them off. Dudes, what happens when you flick something off the general groin area? It flicked your balls. And it hurt. And I'm sitting there curled up in the fetal position going, fuck, why did I flick my balls? How do I not know after 39 years, I know 39, right? 39 years of life not to flick my balls. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is not a skill I know. Why? Because the crumbs always fell on the belly. And I never knew not to flick my balls. What other lessons do fat people not know? What other lessons do fat people not know? Lesson number 1 that fat people do not know is this. You're supposed to look down and see little Mikey. Who knew? I looked down one day and went, fuck. That's what he looks like from up here. Lesson number 1 that fat people do not know is you're supposed to see little Mikey. Lesson number 2 is this. It is all relative. So when all the fat recedes and all the goes away, fucking Mikey's proud. He stays the same. He stays the same. He's not made of fat. He stays exactly the same. Lesson number 3 is it turns out other people now want to see little Mikey too. Which is a nice little bonus. So on the subject of other people wanting to see little Mikey is this. I have done some statistical analysis on the subject, and it turns out that there is a direct correlation between how fat you are and how hot the chick you can pull is. It's science, and it's proven science. People say a good personality goes a long way. What has 2 thumbs and has a good personality? This guy. Doesn't work. I'm currently pulling a 7, by the way, but I've got a few more kilos to go. So if there are any 8s, I'm in the business. The other thing that they do not tell fat people, that fat people do not realize is this. Are you ready? When they say airline travel is not fun, fuck them, they're wrong. Airline travel is fun. Look at the amount of room between, look at that shit. Game of Thrones can fit there. Easy. Right? People don't realize that airline travel is actually quite roomy. What you don't realize as fat people is this. Fat people never take their shoes off on a plane. Have you noticed this? Because you ain't putting that shit back on. You're kicking that to the aisle and you're waiting for everyone to leave and then you're bending over. In fact, everything to do with the floor is off limits. Watch a fat person tie their shoelaces. There's always a step involved. They always get a little step involved. The other thing fat people do not realize is this. 40 kilos surrounded puts about 7 degrees on you. So fat people wearing shorts, it's not a fashion choice. Fat people wearing shorts is absolutely because there's 7 degrees worth of temperature being built up. Fat people do not know this, but when they're riding shotgun, they didn't win the shotgun lottery. Their friends want them in the front seat. They don't want them in the back taking up a seat and a half. They want them in the front seat out of the way. Lessons fat people do not know. Next lesson they do not know is it turns out sex with the lights on is actually kind of fun. Sex with mirrors is actually kind of fun as well. I got busted one day looking at myself, which is kind of... But I earned it. I like to think that I earned it. Lessons that fat people do not know. The other one fat people do not realize they do is this. Facial hair is an awesome disguise. That is, in fact, the before and after. How much skinnier does the guy on the right look? Facial hair elongates the face. Goatees make you taller. This hides the jawline, gives you an actual jawline. Fat people do not realize this. Clothing choices. Clothing choices. Now think about it. Do not ever wear colors because they show shadows. Do not ever wear stripes, especially horizontal stripes. Fat people always wear dark colors. The next and the last thing is this. Fat people know that there's only one exercise that can be done, and that's walking. We're getting a bit serious because we're almost at the end. Walking is the only exercise that you can't play tennis, you can't run around. This thing changed my life. This was the day, in fact, that I literally put another notch on my belt. This very belt, in fact. So I hope that I have entertained you a little bit and you've had a bit of a laugh. But what I think and what I hope happens is that there's someone watching this and they're entertained enough that their mind is open just a little bit more to the notion that if they lost a little bit of weight and got a little bit fitter, that their life will be a lot better. This was part 1. This started on the 27th of October. The next time I come back to Ignite, if you'll have me, is part 2, where we get to the journey that I almost died and got here today. So thank you.
Michael Kordahi and little Mikey. Let's not forget little Mikey.